Hey everyone, before we jump into this week's episode, I want to make sure that you know about something special we have going on. You all know, if you've been listening to the podcast, that we just released my brand new book, Do What Matters, Live from Rest, Not Rush. And you may not know that we have certified facilitators across the country that use that content in the work that they do as coaches, as spiritual directors, as consultants in the ministry space. All over, the content can be used. And right now, we just announced last night in a program that we were doing on November the 29th, we announced this program that we have a huge discount that you can receive for registering for that certification program by December 15th. Now, we've never done anything quite like this, but we know that we want to help spread this message of living from rest, not rush, and we need your help to do that. So if you've ever thought about sharing this kind of content in coaching, in spiritual direction, in consulting, in the ministry that you might do within a not-for-profit organization or a local church, now is the time to check out our certification. And you can do that by going to thereallifeprocess.com, scroll down, and you'll see a place to learn more about our certification. Check out what we offer, what all that involves, and then set up a time to chat with me. I would love to share with you more. We need people just like you to share this message of doing what matters and living from rest, not rush. Welcome, everyone, to the Real Life Process podcast. My name is Teresa McCloy, and I am so excited to be here with you today. I have some brand new content that I want to share with you, something I've been kind of rolling around in my head and thinking about as I was getting ready to record this episode. Now, this episode will be coming out on November 30th of 2022. So we're right before we dive into the month of December. Now, the holidays are some of my favorite times of year. If you follow along with me on social media, whether it's Instagram or Facebook or any of those things, you know that I have already decorated, that I've already got my Christmas up. Now, that doesn't mean I don't love Thanksgiving. I just love to enjoy the Christmas season. So I put up my fall things very early, usually before Labor Day, and enjoy those all the way through. And then sometime before Thanksgiving, I usually have my Christmas decorations up in my home as well. And I was noticing this year, as I got those up over the last couple of weekends, just how much it puts me in a reflective state of mind. It slows me down. It helps me to be present to the season that we're coming into and what we're going to celebrate in the month of December. And there are so many things as a believer that I want to celebrate, that I want to lean into from a spiritual place as I attend church services, as I reflect with my family, as my husband and I spend that time. We just celebrated our 40th wedding anniversary this past weekend, which is absolutely amazing. That also caused me to reflect and to lean in a little bit as to what does December bring for me? And I came up with some things that I want to share with you here on this episode. So let's dive into our content today and all that we have to talk about as we lean in. So you heard me share something really special at the beginning of the episode about our certified facilitator program. And I just want you to know that the content I'm sharing today is the type of things that we share all the time with those who are leaning in our weekly calls. We're always coming up with ideas and sharing, and we're going to explore this more, these ideas that I'm going to have on the podcast today as we come together as facilitators. And so I'm excited to share with my community and dive in a little deeper with what I'm going to talk about today. But let's dive in, and I want to share actually a couple of episodes today that I'd love for you to go back and reflect on. One is episode number 200. And that was an episode that I shared with you that every time we show up here on the podcast, I want to show up in 4 areas, and those are our 4 core values. And those are be present, I want to be real, I want to bring joy, and I want to create impact. If I can do those 4 things with you on this podcast, with our larger community who is using the tools of the real life process, to our certified facilitators that are sharing this process with others, those are all the places that I want to show up in that way, that our team that serves here at the real life process wants to show up. So today you're going to hear several of those. You're going to hear how we lean into the value, how I want to lean into the value of being present, how I want to lean into the value of being real, because I'm going to share how I live out some of this content today, and then how that creates an impact. So those are 3 of the values we're going to talk about as we look at this little process that I want to take you through for the month of December. So let's dive in. So here we go. You may want a piece of paper. You may want to take some notes on your phone as we dive into 3 words that I want to give you. 3 ways that you can take the month of December and really lean in maybe a little bit different way. Thinking about this just short 30-day period, I want to challenge you to see, so that's the first one, to savor, that's the second one, and to be satisfied, that's the third one. So see, savor, and be satisfied. So let's take each of those and let's use them in the month of December to kind of do some of the things that we would like to do. Our being and our doing. We always talk about both places because that's what it's really like to live from rest, not rush, is to tap into the being, the rest piece, and then into the doing piece. From the being to the doing is what creates that sense of internal rest, not rush. So let's break these 3 words apart. See, savor, and be satisfied. So let's first look at be satisfied. So I'm going to work them backwards. So let's look at be satisfied first. Because here's what often happens in the month of December. We're to the end of the year. We come to the holidays. We come into November and December, and we're like, oh my gosh, I didn't get done all the things I wanted to do. And I say do with quotation marks around it. All the things that I wanted to do, I didn't get to them. I didn't accomplish all those things. Everything on social media is telling me I'm not enough, that I didn't get it all done, and I should rush to get it all done before the end of the year. And I want to tell you just the opposite. I want to say, be satisfied. Now, I don't mean that in a way of you should just settle. You should just, go, well, mediocrity, that's enough. I got a few things done. I just want you to let it go. Now, that always makes me want to sing the song from Frozen, right? But I just want you to let it go, to be satisfied, to live into it was enough. Now, if you're watching on the YouTube channel that we have, by the way, you can go out and subscribe to that, and you can actually see me live doing all the things, drinking my Starbucks that I'm having this morning with my little Christmas cup. But I want to show you, if you're watching on YouTube, and you probably won't be able to see it real well because it doesn't reflect, I wear a bracelet every single day that says you are enough. And that is to remind me that I am enough, that God says I'm enough, and that what I've done today is enough. It's all that I could do. I can lay my head on the pillow and say, it's enough, and be satisfied and live into that whatever the day brought today, it was enough. So I want to widen that out and say the same thing for the year of 2022. It was enough. And you can be satisfied in that. You can rest and lean into that. One of the practices that I've kind of started to do is to look back at the year and just take every single month. What happened in January? What were some of the big things that happened in January? Maybe personally, there were some really big things, or maybe in the career that you have, or professionally, maybe relationally, there were some really hard things. Do the same thing for February, March, April, May, all the way through the year. Just a little bit of reflection of two or three things relationally, maybe in the work that you're doing, and maybe in you personally. And then look at those and say, it was enough. It was good enough. It was exactly where I was supposed to be, exactly what I was supposed to be doing. At the real life process, in our very first component that I talk about in the book, I think it's around chapter 5, I talk about the big rocks in your life, the areas of focus, we call them. And this is the reason why I love the practice of having areas of focus, so that I don't feel like I'm never doing enough, that I can feel like I am in harmony, that all of it matters, but not all at the same time. Because big things happen. Things happen to the people that you love. Things happen in your careers. Things happen in maybe where you're living, in the prices and the inflation and all the things that have gone on this year. Things happen. And can we just hold that with open hands? And if you were watching on YouTube, you'd see me actually opening my hands. Can we hold that with open hands and say that it is enough and be satisfied and let it go? Maybe you need to write it in a journal. Maybe you need to do the exercise of the monthly, writing it down every month, and you might be surprised at what you've actually accomplished and gotten done this year, despite all the things that might have come for you. So that's the first one, is to just be satisfied. Sometime in the month of December, just set aside a couple of hours. The earlier in the month, the better. Block out some time and just say, I'm going to be satisfied. I'm going to think through my year. I'm going to think through all these areas of focus that I have in my life and say, yes, God, it was enough. And I am satisfied, so that I can set that aside. And then the second one I want to talk about is, in the month of December, find some time to savor. There are so many beautiful things that happen in this time, in this 1 month of the year, in these next 30 days, that you can savor. Part of the ways you can savor is taking care of you, self-care and soul care. How do you want to savor some time? Maybe right this week, go out and grab some blocks of time. Grab some weekend time. Block it out for yourself. Grab an afternoon or two. Block it out for yourself. How do you want to savor? Both by joyful things and by quiet things. So schedule some time for you. Schedule some time. Pre-decide what your family is going to do together. You might use a mind map and write down, experiences we want to have in December. Put them all on the mind map and then decide what 1 or 2 or 3 you're going to do in December, so that you can savor them. Because you may not be able to see the Christmas lights and go shopping and get to grandma's house and, go to the Christmas movies and do all the things that, everything is telling us to do. What do you want to choose and pre-decide and savor during the next 30 days? Time for yourself, time with those you love, maybe baking one special thing, not 15. So savoring the small things and grabbing that time and being purposeful and pre-deciding what those are going to look like, then you can really be present in the moment. The everyday, ordinary days that are given to us can actually be extraordinary days, not rushed, not crazy, not hair on fire, because you're savoring. So first, we're going to practice, find some time to just be satisfied with all that was in the past. We're going to be present to the moments right here. So past, present. And then we are going to, sometimes towards the end of the month, maybe between Christmas and New Year's, maybe the week before Christmas, if it feels good to you to do it then, maybe right here at the beginning of the month of December, I want you to see. I want you to take time to see all that God has for you in 2023. See 2023 with big eyes, with fresh eyes. But you see how we have to be satisfied first with 2022 and let that go. Really let that go. Pray over it, practice it, let it go. Then give some time so that you can lean in and see. Looking to the future, looking up on the balcony, getting up on that balcony so you can see what there is. Now, we have a practice here at the Real Life Process called a 90-day reset. And it is that practice of getting way up on the balcony and seeing all that God has for us, all that there is, looking at those areas of focus, looking at our needs and values, and literally resetting ourselves. I talk about in the book, you can read about those practices there, but let's get up on that balcony and see all that there is. Sometimes then we can break it down into smaller 90-day things that we want to do. So maybe you want to use the 90-day reset. Go to that chapter in the book. If you don't have the book yet, you can go to dowhatmatters.com, order the book, Kindle, paperback, and get the book so you can read about this 90-day reset, getting up on the balcony, looking at all the things, and then breaking it down. If I want to grow in my relationships next year, how can I break that down into smaller incremental steps? If I want to grow in the work that I am doing, career, professional, maybe you work for an organization or you're an entrepreneur, how can I break that down in growth? And what are the steps that I can break down? Again, we talk about all these things inside the book, but I just want you to see them in this little 30-day period of the month of December. How can you be satisfied? How can you savor? And how can you see and look to the future? Now, all of these are part of the process that we are already doing here at the Real Life Process. But I just want you to give you some different language about it in short little ways that you can hold on to these 3 words. Am I savoring? Have I become satisfied with what's in my past? And can I see what the future holds in 2023? Some great and exciting things that I can do. So I just want to challenge you with that this week. I hope you resonate with it. I hope that it's something that you can use in that language. And, we're going to talk about this more in our Facebook group over on social media. We have a Facebook group that is just the Real Life Process community. Come on over and join us. Lindsay and I will be unpacking this more over the next couple of weeks as we live in to the month of December. We call it Real Life Live. It's our everyday, ordinary lives lived out in conversation on Wednesdays. And we'll be back into the group to do that on this coming Wednesday. So we do it the same day that the podcast drops, and we'll probably explore this conversation a little bit more. Lindsay I call her a young mom, and she always laughs when I say that, but a young mom. So she's in a totally different season of life, and we would love for you to come over and join us in our Real Life Process community as we continue to unpack these thoughts of being satisfied, of savoring, and of seeing what God has for you in the future. So remember, everyone, that every ordinary day has an extraordinary moment. I just encourage you to look for it, especially during this holiday season. And don't forget to go to our website, thereallifeprocess.com, and check out our certified facilitator program. If that's something that maybe you're seeing in your future in 2023, we would love to have you check it out right now, as we have some great specials going on for the investment into that certification program. So have a great week, everyone, and we'll be back next week with more from the Real Life Process podcast.